Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, January 10th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. It is game day, my friends. Cannot wait. A few hours away from Ohio State, Texas. J-Book and I are going to give predictions and much more. Curious to get J-Book's thoughts on what he's most confident about. What's J-Book maybe most, concerned about? We shall get to that. Before we do that, happy birthday to my sister, Suzanne. I have one sibling. She's the only one, and she's awesome. And she's a huge Buckeye fan, obviously. Everybody in my family is a big Buckeye fan. Even like in-laws, my wife's side of the family, all Buckeye fans. But my sister's a huge Buckeye fan, and happy birthday, Suzanne. I think it's good luck. The Buckeyes are playing this game on your birthday. So we're going to get to all that good stuff in just a moment. I'll let you guys know about Joy Mode and a great deal that you guys can get out there. Joy Mode is the all-natural sexual performance booster, and we have a great deal for you guys. Joy Mode features just 4 simple, proven ingredients. Unlike prescription options that involve doctor visits and managing refills, Joy Mode provides straightforward, effective solutions. Join over 200,000 men who trust Joy Mode to boost their performance without the side effects. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, visit tryjoymode.com. Use code BUCKNUTS at checkout for 30% off subscription orders, 20% off single purchases. That's tryjoymode.com. Use code BUCKNUTS for 20% off single purchases, 30% off subscription orders. All right, let's bring in the one and only, my good friend, Jonah Booker. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
What's up, Dave? Hey, let's go, baby. It's game day.
This is great. I mean, you and I doing the show on a Friday and it's game day. How great is this?
I know it.
Oh, hey, belt to ass Fridays. I love it.
Hey, I woke up, man. As soon as my feet touched the floor, I was on cloud 9, fired up. Like, let's go. I
love
can taste
attitude.
it, Dave. Like, hey, so close to that national championship, man. You play this game right here, and you go out and perform like you're supposed to again, and then Notre Dame talking about they want you. You see that? The running back, Jeremiah Love, said, we won Ohio State.
Oh,
hey.
Good. I just want to, if they get through tonight, Ohio State, I think they're going to smash Notre Dame. I really do. That was crazy last night, man. That was kind of as expected. I thought that was like kind of a coin flip game from two teams that are okay.
Yeah,
probably don't deserve to be in the Final Four, but it was entertaining. Did you have any rooting interest last night?
Not necessarily. I was watching the game and I was going back and forth. I was like, it'd be kind of cool to see an all Big Ten national championship. And then I flipped back. I was like, well, it would be kind of sweet to beat Notre Dame on the national championship stage. Like that right there. What do you think, Dave? That's probably a 30 to 35 million viewership. Like that's ratings gold to have an Ohio State versus Notre Dame national championship.
It's going to shatter ratings. It really will. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it being on a Monday night, but I get it. I know they were trying to avoid the NFL at all costs, but put it on Friday night like it is tonight. I think that's perfect. But also, I know why they do it. A lot of people are out on Friday nights. A lot of people are stuck at home Monday nights. So more people are at home on Mondays. That's why they do it. The TV execs are not stupid. But, yeah, man, I think it's going to shatter records. All right, brass tacks, prediction time. As you're giving yours, I will post mine per usual. Let it ride.
Buckeyes 35, Texas 21.
I like your score better than mine. You see mine? Mine's 34-24 Ohio State.
31-24.
You got 35-21?
Yeah, I got 35-21.
Yeah. This is why everybody go with J-Book, not me on this one. I love it. Let me edit this real quick.
Well, if your score does come correct, Dave, that is still a cover.
Yeah, I don't even care about covering. I just for some reason
just win, baby.
Just win because like they've looked so dominant the last 2 games. I just don't want them going in there overconfident tonight. I want them confident, but not overconfident. And I think if they just keep that edge, I don't see Texas being able to keep with them for 60 minutes, but I think there could be some ups and downs where like they just bludgeoned the hell out of Tennessee and Oregon, and they didn't before they even knew what was happening. The game was over basically. So I don't think that's going to be the case tonight, but I hope it is.
I'm so fascinated to see if they can keep this pace up, Dave. I mean, but here's a crazy thing about it. I actually think this Ohio State team can play better. I went back and watched Tennessee. I watched the Oregon game, um, and yeah, they jumped out on those teams. But there's a big lull. There's a big moment to where you see kind of a stagnation within the program. They come out and guns blazing, and then it's almost like, hey, we got you beat. They kind of take the foot off the gas just a tad bit. I wonder what this team will actually look like from the word go until the end of the buzzer if they kept that intensity up, because you watch it against that Tennessee game. I mean, they got up 21-0 with like 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. And so that entire second quarter, it was kind of they just slowed down a little bit. And then Tennessee scored a little bit late right before halftime. Some Ohio State fans was like, uh-oh. And then they started the third quarter really well with the 3-and-out, scored again right after that. Oregon, you jumped out right on top of them. Oregon kind of scored late there. Then Oregon came back second half, scored a touchdown. Ohio State answered, was able to put up only 7 points in the second half. So that's why I mean, it's like, as well as they're playing, I still think they haven't hit their ceiling just yet. Now, as far as this game, Dave, here's the thing that I'm going to be looking at, and credit to college football nerds who pointed this out. And I went back and did my further research as well. Texas is really good those first two opening scripts. That's their MO. Sark, those first two series, college football nerds pointed out, if they can't score on those two opening drives, they're cooked. And they are really good, those two opening scripts. If you go back and watch their Georgia game, I think it was something like they had 200 plus yards to Georgia's 6 after those first two opening scripts. After that, once the defense is kind of just settled in, Sark does their offense kind of gets stagnated. It's not very explosive once you get them out of those opening script series there. Can Jim knows weather the storm? Because that's one of the things that Ohio State has kind of struggled on, Dave, is that opening series. Jim knows is really, really good at making his adjustments, but they do have a propensity of giving up a touchdown on that opening drive, just getting a feel for how the script is going to play out. You saw it against Indiana. Indiana's scripted offense on that first 10 plays or so. They were moving the ball right up and down the field. After that, Jim Knowles made his adjustments, and then they pretty much put those boys in the sleeper hold. That's something that I'm going to be watching to start this game here. And the other thing, we all know that Quinn Ewers doesn't do well under pressure. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're Jim Knowles, you watched your defensive line get 8 sacks where you only blitz Oregon and Dylan Gabriel 3 times. Do you bring some manufactured pressure to get Ewers off his mark? Because they're going to go quick slants early. That's their MO. They're going to go quick slants. So if you're the corners, you need to shade onto the inside, because expect that the big 70-some yard touchdown against Arizona State, just a simple 10-yard quick slant, boom, he was out. Does Jim Knowles bring some dialed up pressure, or will he sit back and say, hey, let's have my defensive line, I have the utmost confidence in them, let's have them go and eat? That's why I'm going to be watching those first opening scripts, because it's going to tell a lot, Dave.
Got Coach Dietrich Sanchez. I agree. Just get after him. He's kind of a statue. I call him statue adjacent. But definitely closer to a statue than a mobile quarterback. Yeah, I love it, Miss Sanchez. Man, it just feels to me like tonight's the national championship game. Not necessarily if Texas pulls the upset, but man, if the Buckeyes win this one, I just think they're going to take it to Notre Dame. But man, you have more confidence than I do. I'm confident, but you see, I'm not as confident as you are. So I like where you're at. I like where you're at.
I'm at a great headspace with this football team, Dave. I mean, it's contagious when you're playing your best football. And here's the one thing that I definitely wanted to talk to you about. After the Michigan game, Indiana game, you and I really talked about the pace of play and how methodically slow that Ryan Day and Chip Kelly was deciding to run this offense. And Ryan Day touched on it in his Cotton Bowl press conference and said, yeah, we are fresh. We're relatively healthy because of our decision to purposely go slow in the regular season. Is this going to be something that other teams use as a blueprint for this 12-team playoff, Dave, going forward? I mean, if you're a Georgia, if you're a, I don't know, Notre Dame, you're Alabama or something like that, will you start to see teams slow down in the regular season to prepare for the 12-team playoff, kind of like Ohio State has done? Because I don't know if them boys ate took some gummy juice before they went out before these last two games, but holy smokes, the bounce in their step, how fast that they're moving, they're playing at 100 miles per hour. Like it literally looks like Tennessee and Oregon are playing in quicksand while the Buckeyes are playing on the regular field. Like the speed difference is very noticeable. And we question, like, why are these guys playing so slow? If this is the result that you are playing this fast, this late in the season because of that decision, I think is going to be a blueprint for other college football teams all throughout the country after this. That's if the Buckeyes can win the national championship.
It's a great point. I still think it was a bold move to intentionally lose the Michigan game just to lure everybody to sleep. Like,
yeah,
I didn't like intentionally losing to that horrible Michigan team just to make Tennessee think Ohio State sucks, make everybody think Ohio State sucks, just to bludgeon them. But it worked. I might be being sarcastic out there, Wolverine fans. Maybe not. I'm definitely not being sarcastic about Rocket Money. I love having Rocket Money, one of the sponsors of the show. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I'm sure a lot of you guys are like me, where like you used to have a pretty good feel for it, just in the, from the off the top of your head, like, oh yeah, I got a subscription here. Now I feel like I have like 100 subscriptions to different stuff, and you forget stuff. Rocket Money helps you with all that. They can save you money. Everybody likes saving money. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. All right, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. rocketmoney.com/gameon. I mean, it's game on tonight. I'm counting down the hours. I might have to take a nap just because, like, after I post the show, I'm just going to be like, how are we a couple out? No, okay, no, still like 10 hours. Okay, all right, still have a ways to go here.
I'm right with you, Dave. I might have to take a nap, man, because right now I'm turned up. I woke up this morning, dude. I got my coffee, man. I made some breakfast, and I'm like, let's go. I was fired up, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can keep this pace up for the entire night. But I would say this, Dave, speaking of pace, Ohio, I think Texas and Notre Dame are running on fumes. When you look at that Notre Dame team, absolutely beat up. They look gas.
Yes.
Now let's talk about Texas. I went back and did the research and looked at the PFF snap counts because you got to take into account Texas played Georgia in the SEC championship, Clemson in the first round, Arizona State in the second round. The best thing that could have happened to Ohio State in that Texas versus Arizona State, Texas defense was on the field for 100 plus snaps. I think they originally quoted 97. I think it was about 101 snaps. And then I added up what Ohio State has played snap counts in the last month. Texas has literally played 100 more snaps than the Buckeyes. Now, what does that mean? This is the time where, hey, let's pick up the pace. Let's make those big boys in Texas run sideline to sidelines, wear them out. If you can jump out on them and then you start to hit them with that tempo, Dave, this is the proper moment to where, hey, we played slow all year. We're going to pick the pace up. We're going to tempo you because we saw it against Tennessee. Tennessee was rotating in some of those big boys in the middle in the SEC, hands on the hips, hands like this, absolutely gas. Arizona State was extremely physical with Texas. I mean, they were absolutely, Texas was stonewalling Arizona State early on. And then probably late second quarter, you started to see Arizona's front really start to have some success against Texas. By that fourth quarter, absolutely gas Texas was. Scatterbo was absolutely giving them all that they can handle. They offense put up 500 plus yards there. They ran for almost 200 yards. They absolutely shut down the Texas run game. The other thing that I'm going to be looking at is Texas is getting their starting right tackle back, who has a sprained knee. He wasn't healthy last week. They said he's not 100%. That's the mark right there, Dave. That's the fish right there, because you test him out right now. I need to see if we overwhelm you on your side. Can you handle the pressure? Is your knee healthy enough to hold up? That's going to be something that I definitely keep an eye on, because Jack Sawyer has an opportunity to have a huge game tonight.
What's your biggest concern?
I would definitely say the biggest concern for me is the offensive line against their front. Now, don't get it twisted. They do have a really good defensive front. They are aggressive, can get after the quarterback. So that's going to be one of the biggest things. I think they generated like 17 pressures against Arizona State, which is a really high number. So you're definitely going to have to keep Will Howard clean. The offensive line have played really well the last couple games, keeping him really clean. They haven't given up a sack. The other thing is this is a heavy zone defense. The last two games against Tennessee and Oregon, they decided for whatever reason they wanted to man up against Ohio State, made them pay for it. This is a Texas team that runs zone defense 80% of the time. The thing that they're going to do, and you can bet your bottom line dollar, they're going to say Jeremiah Smith is not going to beat us. We're either going to bracket him, or we're going to have our safeties playing 15 to 20 yards deep to prevent those big strikes. Ohio State has made a killing off explosive plays. If you're Texas, you're going to say, hey, I can live and die if Will Howard's willing to manufacture 9-10 play drives and score on us. What we're not going to do is we're not going to have Jeremiah Smith out there one-on-one just streaking against people, because even though they are a zone scheme, Clemson, which doesn't necessarily have an explosive offense, one of their receivers went off for like 100 plus. And then you look at Arizona State with 500 plus yards of offense. So I definitely think they're going to shade Jeremiah Smith. What does that mean for the other guys? This could be a big game for Carnell Tate, because he's going to be the third option. Now you're talking about, hey, we're going to have two guys with eyes on Jeremiah Smith cheating over to his side. Emeka Egbuka, they're probably going to put one of their top corner on him to try to slow him down. So that's going to give you Carnell Tate an opportunity. I need to look up and see what his over-under prop bet is. And then that might be a play right there, because if they're trying to cheat over to Jeremiah, I don't think there's another team in college football with a wide receiver 3 as good as Carnell Tate.
It's so funny you brought that. I was going to ask you about that next. Then Ohio State might come out and use JJ as a decoy. Yeah. They're going to be, they're going to, Texas is, as you said, Texas is probably thinking like, we're not going to let number 4 beat us. But then number 2, number 17 are going to be facing single coverage, or, as you said, they run mostly zone. I wonder if they're going to play a little bit more man than they typically do. Regardless, though, when you've got, and I know they don't like to be labeled as the number 2 and number 3 receivers, but they are. And I just mean that as a compliment to this team. When you have Emeka Egbuka as your number 2 receiver and Carnell Tate is your number 3, I mean, business is good. And I'm with you, man. We did our staff predictions. I don't know if Patrick's posted it yet, but I sent those in. We did more than score predictions. I predicted my player of the game is Carnell Tate.
Oh, look at you, Dave.
Because I just feel like, just like what you were saying, man, I just feel like he's due, and I just feel like they're going to kind of forget about him. Not forget about him. They know Texas knows Carnell Tate's good, but like pick your poison with this Ohio State offense. I think Carnell Tate's going to go off tonight, relatively speaking.
Right. And here's the thing though, Ohio State, they do have a lot of really good zone beaters. So it's not like every team in the country that Ohio State has faced throughout the Big Ten schedule has manned up against them. The Buckeyes are actually one of the best teams against the zone. They're like in the top 5% of all of college football when thrown against the zone. So it's not something new, but it's going to be a different scheme than what they've seen over the last 2 weeks. Now, here's the wild card, Dave. G. Scott Jr. is playing outstanding football, and him in the passing attack has really opened things up quite a bit. And he had a really good game against Tennessee, and they're really stretching the field with him. And that's kind of something that you didn't see a whole lot early on in the season. I think he's definitely playing his best football as a Buckeye. And then you saw that opening catch against Oregon there. So he's playing really, really good football. And the thing about him is he's doing so well in the blocking, in the run game, that you can't be tipped off about what's going to come about when he's on the field, because he's beating linebackers one-on-one in the pass game, and he's holding his point of attack in the run game. So I think he is a major key cog to this offense. If he can get off, if Scott can get off for about 35 to 40 yards in this game, then I think the passing game is going to be just fine.
This is so exciting. I can just taste it. So close to a national championship. And I think they're going to get it done.
I'm like you, Dave. I can taste it. Like,
it's like, right. Yeah. I want to take a big bite. Yeah. You can smell it. You can taste it. Like, you can feel it. Like, it's just so close. they got to finish the deal. And I think they will. But I'm a nervous Nelly, just natural. That's my nature. And so I'll be nervous until they have this game in hand. But man, the way they're playing, though, how can you not be confident?
Let me take you back down to memory lane, Davey. You was in school the year when Eddie was there and Notre Dame came to the shoe for that big game, right?
Yep.
So
that might be the loudest I've ever heard it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that right there was Notre Dame they were what, top 5, top 10 at the time?
Yeah, they were still, even though they were 7 years removed from the title in '88, they still had Lou Holtz.
Yeah,
they were still kind of they were definitely a bigger name brand at that time than Ohio State. That was when Ohio State was coming back on the national stage. Is like, we're back, baby. Yeah, Eddie George's Heisman year, Biletnikoff for Terry Glenn. Go ahead, yeah.
But the reason I bring that up is because your generation has a more different skewed view of what Notre Dame was and who they are, compared to maybe the younger generation who hasn't witnessed Notre Dame at their peak. Like, what if Ohio State handles their business? My question to you is, like, what does that do for you to be able to witness Notre Dame at their great, to see a Buckeye versus Notre Dame national championship? Like, that's nirvana right there, man. Like, hey, like seeing those two historical brands in the title game, like, that's crazy.
It's weird for me because I was a little kid when Notre Dame won the national title. And I didn't hate that for some reason, because they were such an underdog. I think I remember, was I rooting for? No, they weren't in that, because they played West Virginia. They weren't an underdog in that game. I remember rooting for them when they played some of the Catholics versus convicts games and stuff like that. So I was never a Notre Dame hater growing up. I know some Ohio State fans definitely were and are, but like for me, like during my lifetime, Ohio State is undefeated against Notre Dame. And other than, well, I guess both of the recent games were close, especially the Kyle McCord game, the most recent one. But a lot of them, Ohio State just took it to them. The game in '95, the first one, that was insane. Notre Dame actually led that game in the first half. Demetrius Stanley scored a big touchdown to give the Buckeye, get them close going into halftime. Then the Buckeyes just stormed their ass in the second half. And then Notre Dame the next year with a guy named Urban Meyer as Notre Dame's wide receivers coach. Ohio State, I believe it was Demetrius Stanley again, almost returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown. They beat the crap out of Notre Dame. They beat the crap out of Notre Dame then in the Fiesta Bowl with Charlie Weiss, decided schematic advantage. So they beat him again. Brian Kelly with Ezekiel Elliott's final game, all those national title guys, their final game. Then they beat him in the home and home. I don't know, man. Notre Dame just to me is just like, I don't even know. They're like a Penn State kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, got to handle their business tonight. That's for sure, because Texas, they're going to bring it, man. Like when you hear everything that they've been talking, they kind of feel or playing the role of we're the disrespected ones. Nobody thinks we should be here. No, nobody believes that we should be on the same field as Ohio State. When you're Ohio State and fans on Twitter is like, don't get ahead of yourself. Listen, these players can give two rats what Ohio State fans are talking about on Twitter as far as Notre Dame. Them boys are locked in. I'm sure they were in their hotel room. They had team dinner. Then after team dinner, they had probably last minute meetings to kind of go over the game plan, have some last minute comments, maybe a walkthrough in a ballroom or something like that. And then probably got back to their rooms in the second half to watch that game last night. Them boys are locked in, Dave. I'm not worried about the team's focus. The thing that you're going to have to do is, like I said early, is weather that storm from Texas with those first two series with the scripted plays. Play fast, play aggressive, and smack the dog, you know what, out of some of these Texas players, because that's the one big difference, Dave, that I've noticed is they have been laying the lumber. Can Lathan Ransom keep his streak up of knocking running backs out of the game?
Cracking quarterbacks' helmets, knocking running backs out of the game. It's just talking about cracking skulls. Yeah, they're hitting, and I love that they're hitting hard and they're not missing tackles.
Right.
They're not just going in there like heat-seeking missiles and not. They know the most important thing is to wrap up. If you knock the crap out of them, that helps too. So great stuff, my friend. I won't keep you any longer.
Hey, who's your defensive player of the game? Offense.
My defensive player of the game, I'd have to go with Caleb Downs. The way they're using him as like a hybrid Mike is just so cool.
And you told me Carnell in the offense, so defense.
Carnell, yeah. What about you?
I actually picked Downs as well. Here's the thing: he dropped 2 interceptions against Oregon.
I know. Yeah.
If he gets his chance and if he gets his hands on the ball, I think he's going to hold on to it. Here's a funny thing too, Dave. If you watch that Oregon game, because Cody Simon dropped a pick 6 as well, that game could have been.
That's right.
The Ohio State defense could have forced like 3 turnovers as far as interceptions. I think Caleb Downs is going to hold on to one, because with the way that they're running that 3 high safety and letting Downs kind of play like an Ed Reed type of mode where he's just roaming the middle of the field and just saying, "Hey, you do you, Downs." That right there, I think is going to, I think that's going to confuse Texas, because the one thing that a lot of people have talked about is Sark has really struggled as far as his offense with a 3 high safety defense, and that is Ohio State's specialty. And if Quinn Ewers doesn't have that first read, then he kind of panics in the pocket. That's going to give a prime opportunity for Caleb Downs to get his hands on the football. On the offensive side, I'm going with Trey Henderson, Dave, because I think Ohio State might get a light box just because of what the threat that Jeremiah Smith brings to the table. Because what we saw early on, we saw teams kind of started to crowd that box. The safeties' heels were about 10 to 12 yards, thinking that, hey, we need to slow down the run. With this new counter run game that they have in place, I think it's going to give an opportunity for Trey Henderson to break off some runs. Oh, yeah, that's another thing before we get off here, Dave. What do you think about the talk of Ohio State basically changing the entire run game with this new counter scheme that they implemented? And some people believe that it's a Mike Norvell offense that Coach Lachlan was a part of when he was on that Memphis staff, that they've kind of implemented a lot of that counter scheme that Norvell runs.
Yeah, I mean, better late than never. I know people are like, where's it been? It's like, hey, I mean, you'd rather have that than don't make adjustments. Like,
yeah,
listen, and you're peaking at the right time. And that includes the coaches, what they're doing schematically. Knowles defensively with stuff like Caleb Downs being that rover, that hybrid Mike, that whatever you want to call it, the counter run game. misdirections in general, including with the passing game. We didn't see that pass to G. Scott to lead off the Rose Bowl all season long, kind of fake the screen, bam, and you hit the wide open tight end. That's a concept we haven't seen all season. The players are peaking. Mick Marotti's done a good job. Great job. People are being hard on Mick. How you like him now? I mean, 14 games in, they're fresh. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
In a violent sport like football. I just hope, J-Book, that they are able to take the belt to ass tonight.
Belt to ass Friday. But yeah, they've done a lot of counter schemes, but the one thing that really makes them tough to defend is they always have done, some misdirections and motions. Now you're really starting to see them build off of it, because when you're a linebacker, you're reading your keys. You see the guard center pulling. Your natural instincts is, hey, this is run. So you're going to get false steps of them reading their keys and saying, hey, I need to replace the pulling guard or center, because that's typically where they're going to be going with the run play. And with Ohio State building off their Ryan Day passing scheme, off this counter action, it is absolutely devastating, because you're seeing linebackers false step forward. Oh shit, where are they? And then boom, there's a wide receiver running behind you with mesh concepts. Like, it's absolutely beautiful the way that they've kind of married the two concepts here. The question is with Texas, if Ohio State jumps out on them, and that's why I say, Dave, get the ball first. The last two games. Yes. The last two games, Ohio State has gotten the ball first. If you win the toss, don't defer. Take the ball, because if you can jump out on Texas at 7-0 right now, all of a sudden it's like, oh, shit, here we go. And then Ohio State is notorious. If they get on top of you, Dave, they are not letting you off. Like, they will absolutely pound you to oblivion if you let this Ohio State team get on top of you first.
Yeah, they're that UFC fighter that if they land a punch, they just could get on top of you and ground and pound and ground and pound and ground and pound. They don't let up. Great stuff, my man. Let's go. We're about about 9.5 hours away from kickoff. Let's go. Great stuff, Dave, as always.
I'll talk to you later, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Here's
the great J-Book. Really appreciate it. I've got just a few more things for you guys. I want to let you guys know about Factor meals. I told you guys a lot about Factor meals. If you haven't heard this story, you probably have. But Factor, awesome microwave meals that are ready in 2 minutes. Like, how is that possible? Because they're fresh, never frozen. This is high quality, healthy, really good stuff. Tastes great. And I've told you guys a story about my friend at my side job. I work on the radio station, sports radio station here in Columbus, 97.1 The Fan. And one of the guys was always making one of these old school frozen microwave meals. Not very good. And I told him about Factor. He loves Factor. So now he's able to make his microwave meals. They're ready much faster. They taste a heck of a lot better. They're better for him, higher quality. I mean, you're getting stuff like blackened salmon and filet mignon. This is fantastic. We can get you guys a great deal. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/bucknuts50 off and use code bucknuts50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code bucknuts50 off at factormeals.com/bucknuts50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. It's kind of how my friend, I told him, like, we'll get you this. It's like, you can get me 50% off. I'm like, I can get anybody 50% off. They use Bucknuts50 off. It's not just for you, but that got him in. Then he got it. He loves it. So he got us 50% off. Now they have a lifetime customer. So I'm helping spread the word of Factor. All right. A couple of things I want to get to before we finish the show. All right. Doreen had something I want to get to real quick. Let me take a drink of water here. All right. Now, my neighbor Phil, technically he's across the street. He's my neighbor, though. Right? When I was a little kid, you have to be next door to be neighbors, right? No, he's across the street. He's my neighbor. Love Phil, big Buckeye fan, loyal listener of the show. We're out shoveling the other day, and he said, "Hey, I think you're a little too hard on Herbie." I said, I hear you, but I know some things. I've kept my mouth shut a long time, and now he's taking unfair shots at Ohio State fans. I couldn't stay silent anymore, and I know things. But maybe I am too hard on Herbie. I don't know. Maybe I'm not hard enough. Because like I said, I didn't say a word for like 10 years, and I knew stuff. Stuff like he moved to Nashville because his family was getting harassed. No. Incorrect. Doreen says, finally, Kirk Herbstreit defended Ohio State. I was impressed. He overcorrected. It was like it was fake. Didn't you guys think that was fake? You saw Herbie going over. I liked it, but it was just like, it felt like, because I just know how he is. What happened was he's felt all of the vitriol from Ohio State fans completely getting ticked off. Even people like me who had either said nothing or defended him for years had finally had enough of his crap. And he had heard that. It started with the selection show when he took that shot at Ohio State fans unfairly. He didn't need to say that. Better to play the game on the road. Okay, how'd that work out? Neyland North. And then, again, I mean, just taking more shots. As the Ohio State's blowing out Tennessee, and he decides to say, well, they better not lose to Oregon, or the lunatic fringe is going to be calling for Ryan Day's head again. And maybe that is true, but why are you talking about that? Like, he was going out of his way to bash Ohio State fans, point blank. And now he's going the other way, trying to get back in the good graces because he cares. It's like the song, my name's Blurry Face and I care what people think. That's Herbie. He cares what people. He told us that when he came to see us in Dayton to try and make good with Buckeye fans many moons ago. It was Dan Rubin and myself and Herbie in this small little room, Mr. Bucknuts' former office, our little makeshift radio studio. It was the three of us, and Herbie he admitted he cares what people think. And that's fine. I think we all do, if we're being honest. But, like, he's very thin-skinned. And I think that's what that is. He's overcorrected now. Well, I mean, that's fine. If he wants to continue doing that, great. He was talking back to Desmond finally. Great. I just wish that was, like, real and not him probably being fake. Phil, maybe I'm being too hard on Herbie. I'm sure I'll see you later today. Even though, thank goodness the shoveling is over. But maybe I am too hard on Herbie. You guys, am I too hard on Herbie? Maybe I am. So, I don't know. I'll take your guys. If you guys and Phil both tell me, then I'll know I'm in the wrong. I trust Phil and I trust you guys. But I don't know, man. For Jim Tressel to ban you from the WAC, which wasn't public knowledge. I mean, I know for a fact it happened. It's not like Tressel went out and had a press conference and I am banning Kirk Herbstreit from the WAC. It happened. Herbie then had to go in and tried to cry his way, back in Tressel's good graces. Wasn't happening. So there you go. Okay, I've said too much. This is why Phil thinks I'm too hard on Herbie. I didn't say a word for like 10 years, my friends. All right, I won't say any more. Leave no doubt. That's exactly right, Mike Schaefer on YouTube. Leave no doubt. That's been the mantra. They screwed it up against Michigan, although if you ask me, they just obviously intentionally lost the Michigan game so they could lure everybody to sleep, like I said. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them. All right, one more thing I want to get to. Drew Aller, and this shouldn't be a big surprise. Sorry, I don't mean to keep having your comment up there, Doreen. Did I call her Doreen? Doreen. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, there you go. I think you're stealing Mika's joke there, but yeah, that's a good one though. If you're not stealing Mika's joke, if you didn't see that, that's just great minds think alike, you and Mika. That's hilarious. Yeah, if you can see the screen, you can see the screen. There you go. All right. One more. I'm not too hard on him. He's earned it. Okay, there you go. Most people think I'm not too hard on him. So now you guys are going to have to argue with Phil because Phil's great. Phil's awesome. Salt of the earth. So rarely I would push back on anything Phil would tell me, but I had to push back on that. Like, I don't think I am too hard on him. But anyway. All right, one more thing. Penn State fans have completely turned on Drew Aller. And watching that interception to basically end the game, I mean, Notre Dame still had to get some yards and kick the field goal, which, as we know, is not always easy. But that interception was awful. He wanted to go to Tyler Warren to the left. That was covered. Then his second read was also covered. And then he just went into complete, like, panic city mode. that was as bad of a panic interception as you'll ever see. You got to just take the sack, step up and run. He also panicked before then. There was a play where he saw the blitz coming. He immediately just ran and ended up going like out of bounds and like lost yards. Can't remember exactly. Or maybe it was like no gain. He panicked, completely panicked. So, and that was a precursor to what we saw, that interception. One of the things he's done well the last couple of years is not throw interceptions, even though overall stats have been like a little misleading. Like, he's put up big stats against bad teams, has not played well against good teams. Man, I went on our Penn State 24/7 board, Lions 247. Oh boy, they've completely turned on them. Like, they're done. They're pissed that like Prebula transferred. They wish Prebula stayed and Aller left. They think that Aller was promised a lot of NIL money to stay. They're like, well, not only are we getting him back, but now we're blowing like our NIL budget on him. They've completely turned on him. They don't want him back. I mean, they know he's going to come back, but my gosh, you guys got to get on our Lions 247 board and read some of these posts. It's I almost feel bad because I think he's a good kid. I do think he's a good kid, but they've completely turned on him. And I find that interesting. I also find it interesting. We are T-minus 9 hours, 15 minutes away from kickoff, probably 9 hours and 25 minutes. I'll probably kick off about 7:40 Eastern is my guess. I hope everybody in Dallas is okay. If Ohio State wins, I will be in Atlanta. I stayed home for this one, so I hope everybody, including my colleagues, are okay. I know the airport was shut down yesterday. The Dallas-Fort Worth airport shut down. Not good. My friend Mecca Don, poor guy, was a half hour from landing. He was in the air when they shut the airport down. They're a half hour from landing. Then they had to reroute to Memphis. Jeez. Just an absolute mess. There was a story I heard on the radio. This couple paid like for really good seats and they bought them early, which I advise people not to buy these super, super expensive tickets early. They always go down. Now they've gone down a lot because of the storm in Dallas, but these tickets always go down. Anyway, heard a story on the radio just this morning. This couple from Columbus, they bought really good, expensive tickets to the game. Flight ends up getting redirected to Raleigh, North Carolina. 17 hours. Then they had to rent a car and drive 17 hours. And they're like, why'd you do that? They're like, well, the tickets were so expensive. We just couldn't eat it. We couldn't eat it. They couldn't find a flight. They just rented a car and drove 17 hours. So those are good Buckeye fans right there. But so I hope the Buckeyes can bring it home. And then I'll be in Atlanta talking to you guys, hopefully, on the 20th. It won't just be the 20th, but certainly for what we learned live on the 20th, the national championship game version. But tonight, let's bring it home. This is not going to be easy, in my opinion. Texas is a legit, good, talented team. They're going to be motivated. They're playing in their home state. They're hearing everybody and their mother, including J-Book and I, picking Ohio State to win. But even people that don't work for Bucknuts, it's like everybody's picking Ohio State now. So can the Buckeyes keep that edge? Can they beat a good Texas team in the state of Texas? If they do, I'm going to be super confident against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a good team, but they're banged up. I think Texas is better than Notre Dame. And you're not going to be playing Notre Dame like in the state of Indiana, although that wouldn't be that big of a deal. As long as wouldn't be playing them in South Bend. There'd be plenty of Buckeye fans there being one state over. But you know what I mean, though. Playing Texas in Texas, don't love that. But I think there'll be plenty of Buckeye fans there, including the couple that drove 17 hours from Raleigh after their flight from Columbus got redirected. Crazy stuff. Thanks to J-Book. Always appreciate his insights. I know you guys love him. I do, too. That's why years ago I wanted to bring him on the show. And, look at him now. He's a big superstar. But no, I love having J-Book on the show every Friday, and love having you guys tune into the show. And I'll be with you guys after the game tonight, a little late night, what we learned live. I'm still rounding up guests. I know Heater's going to join me. Bax is going to join me. I'll see about J-Book. I feel bad bugging J-Book, but I'll see if he has time to hop on, and we'll have a few other guests as well. Obviously, Patrick Murphy and Steve Hellwagon will be live from Jerry World, so join me for what we learned live, a little doubleheader podcast day here on Bucknuts. Thanks to J-Book. Thanks to all of you. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I hope we enjoy the evening. Go Bucks. Appreciate it, everybody.